Greetings, fellow technicians. Angelo with AEuro bringing you the latest hands-on and training session videos for your viewing and education and knowledge. Going to start the day off with these first 3 sessions, which will be the initial introduction of the electronic ignition switch and its parts, all of the electronics that are involved with EIS, EZL, and move into the coding, SCN, and CVN. There will be more than just 3 sessions, but I'm going to put these up first, being that these sessions right now are free until the end of the month, so you might as well get your use. Now we're going to start off with the basics and then slowly move into the coding and programming. Now the introduction to the SCN and CVN coding, not a big deal. The only thing I have to say about this, and I've said this for years, it's Mercedes software. It belongs to Mercedes, and it is, whether you call it technical, non-technical, gray area, however the way people put it, and this is in my own humble opinion, it's illegal to do without their express consent, permission, and equipment right there at the vehicle. But might as well know how to do it. You can call it gray all day. Let's see what happens if the Gestapo shows up at your door and how you'll explain that away while they bleed you white. Fair warning, my friends. Don't say I didn't warn you. So sit back, relax, absorb the information and knowledge, because right now it's free. It'll do you some good, and getting just a bit smarter will open many doors for you, my friends. And that's what I'm here for. As I've said enough, and it's hard enough to diagnose and repair these very complex and highly technology-driven cars. It makes it just a bit easier if you know how it works. Or doesn't. In this series of sessions, we'll be covering the DOS, EIS, and EZL series of the electronic ignition switches. We'll start from what it is, how it's designed, with the drive authorization features to prevent hijacking or theft deterrent. No, not that kind of hijacking where the guy reaches under the dash and takes 2 wires and goes tss, 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 and starts the car. That still makes me laugh, though. Functions, the versions, the coding, the programming, and then the diagnostics of the system. That you'll get plenty of. And on that note, you ought to take a look at the other DOS and Zentry software, shall we call it, examples that I have up there on the board for your viewing also, so you'll get a better idea of how it's done. Lots of overwhelming, lots of information, lots of learning. So stand by, lock and load, over the top, boys. Before you go through the extensive explanation of how to check it, if it works, you need to know how it works and the design principles behind the entire DOS system. Here's a tip. If you're plugged in with the Zentry on one of these Mercedes-Benz that does have a DOS, you don't have to have the key on. If you can talk to the car without the ignition key in the on position, chances are you probably got a good EIS. Thought you might want to know that. DAS. Yes, another acronym for Drive Authorization System. One of the many acronyms that Mercedes has. Not quite as many as BMW, but getting real close. You'll need to learn and have access to these if you plan to work on these makes of cars. Remember, each time the key is used in the ignition switch, DAS reads both its fixed serial number and also the rolling code to that key. All Mercedes vehicles manufactured approximately within the last 10 years use DAS to electronically validate ignition keys. There's a picture of one of the later versions. The key, or the fob, for this system contains an EEPROM chip that stores all the fixed serial number and rolling code. Also, these values are compared to known valid values stored within the DAS unit itself. The acronym MESFI is described as the engine control unit, or the ECM. It's one of those potato things. Basically, the rolling code feature is just like you have a garage door opener, but much more expensive. By the way, that key is about $150, $160, so you really don't want to drop it like they say you can drop it 10 meters. Don't try that. Also, every Mercedes-Benz vehicle has a record in what they call FDOK. That's that great big, huge database that Mercedes-Benz has in their secret place, wherever that may be. And basically, this rolling code feature is stored there. Another acronym meaning MBZ Worldwide Database, yes, that's what it technically means, contains all the information about every Mercedes-Benz worldwide that you would want to know about every Mercedes-Benz that has been built from the start, including the assignments of all the electronic key codes for all of these vehicles using DAS. Only certain authorized employees with, shall we call it, NSA level security is authorized to look at this. And these authorized parts distribution center people, or a PDC, have access to this specific information. If a match is found, the MESFI allows the engine to start and run, and DAS will then write a new randomized rolling code to that fob EEPROM. There's a picture of an MESFI within that pile of other control units. Authorized PDC stock virgin transponders, ones that have not been coded yet, and special equipment to program them with valid serial numbers are from the FDOK. This is to assure that they can't be manipulated. It's just another word for stealing. That it could occur on an unauthorized keys. You know what I'm talking about. The eBay ones. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't buy a key for a Benz at eBay. There are people out there that do think they can. Of course, you know, there's a sucker born every minute, and P.T. Barnum was right about that. Keys are programmed when the key set is ordered for the new vehicle, or an additional or replacement key is ordered for an existing vehicle. It's just as simple as that. Only a factory or an authorized service center can order keys. For existing vehicles, the service center is required to verify the customer ordering the key is, in fact, the owner of the vehicle in question. It also requires you, as the person putting the key in this car, to have what's called a locksmith ID, which gets married to that key, so they know who the last guy that installed the key in that car. That's why I suggest all shops ought to have at least one guy with an LSID license. And come on, guys, it's $300. Big deal. Examining the customer photo ID in the vehicle registration, the receipt generally satisfies this, such as a driver's license, title to the vehicle, ownership proof of just about any other kind. And here's the thing, this is performed in a different way depending on which version of DOS is used on that vehicle. Now, in Session 2, we're going to discuss the differences in versions of DOS. So until then, we just got to make sure that we've got this part straight if you want to go back over it. Now, once all of this has been done, there is a process that's irreversibly locks the data into DOS. So you can't program that key and then reprogram the key. After X amount of starts, which I'll let you know here later, that key is pretty much assigned, or what we call married, to the MESFI through the DOS. Once married to a key set, DOS will be the only thing that will recognize the keys in that key set. Officially, there's no way you're going to reverse this process. That is, introduce a new key set to DOS. Nor is there a way to alter any of the individual key IDs to DOS. So once it's done, my friends. So until then, this the Car Commando. Keep your powder dry, and we'll see you next time round. Thanks for attending Session 1.